I think the Christians are very
some-
sober about this. The Christians don't have so many of these prohibitions. Maybe this we can thank Jesus Christ for it. I don't have much more to say because it is so clear. But let me just conclude. If we don't like a kind of food, well and good. But if we say this is prohibited in Islam without authorization from the Quran, we are defying Allah Himself. It's a terrible responsibility. That's all I have to say on this.
Just to add a few points to this, Satan pushes us to, when Satan fails to stop you from believing in God, then he pushes you further into more restrictions and more prohibitions and more hard work until you become sick and tired of religion and just can't take it anymore. There was a list in American Muslim Journal about prohibitions that are just extensive. And they are all made from hadith, and sunnah, sources other than the Quran. Well, you can't brush your hair with certain brushes because they're made of pig hair. You can't brush your teeth. You can't wear hush puppies because they're made. Yeah, you cannot wear hush puppies. They're made of pig skin.
The MSA has a whole list of soap that you're not supposed
Right,
to use.
the certain soaps. you can
Ivory
use.
soap, my favorite brand. I was worried I wasn't being a good Muslim because I like Ivory soap.
Now God tells us that when you start prohibiting things like this, then He will deprive you. Now the community with the most prohibitions is India. And if you ask the average person where is the poorest place on earth, they'll tell you it is India, and it is because of all the prohibitions. Now God gave us the cattle and the sheep and these things. Their purpose of life is to be slaughtered and eaten. And you fulfill the purpose of their creation when you eat them, actually. And in the appendix about prohibitions, I started out with the example that if you invite some dear friends to your place, and you go through the effort of cooking a great meal, then they come in and then they turn their noses up. How would you feel about it? So I would ask you to turn to page 185, where you can see the consequences of prohibiting what God permits you. Verse 112 says, do not prohibit local foods. God cites the example of a community that enjoyed peace and security with abundant provisions from everywhere. Then they prohibited some of God's givings, and consequently, God afflicted them with hunger and fear. And this is exactly what happened in India. This is what happened in Pakistan, in Egypt. Why are they? Because of their prohibitions. And this is what God is telling us. He prohibits things. You say, okay, so you don't want my provision? All right, I'm not going to give you provision. It's God's law. This country is probably the richest country on earth because they eat everything. They change the name of pigs to dogs and eat them. Hot dogs, eat them. So they eat everything.
Mixed together. God knows what else is in them too.
Yeah, chemicals, nitrites. But it is a gross sin to prohibit things that are allowed to you. And poverty is one result of prohibiting things that God has given you. I mean, this goes to ridiculous lengths. Like our friends who came here and they wanted milk, but they wanted with vitamin D2, but not D3, or vice versa. Yeah, they go read the ingredients on the milk cartons. If it says D2, that's haram. D3, it's okay. I mean, It's just too much.
You have to be careful too.
This is real life story. Huh?
If you take vitamins that are made with gels or capsules, you have to be careful because sometimes it's animal.
Yeah, but it is not meat.
No, I don't mean us. I mean sometimes the
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Working on it or something like that, or what's the-
Well, whatever. Yeah, probably.
gelatin
They're-
is meat. It's making horses' hoofs. Yeah.
Even if it's made from pig hoof, you know, it's underwent all kinds of chemical changes, and it's not meat of pigs.
They have a list about like this, about 10 pages of products in this country.
Oh, yeah.
Toothpaste, soap, all kinds of things that you are supposed to avoid.
There are a few other things that I wanted to touch on here. Let's see. Anyway, the Quran lists exactly 4 things that are prohibited. Anything beyond that is okay. The 4 things are animals that die of themselves. And in Surah 5 are given details that even if the animal falls from height or gored to death, there's something wrong with that animal, possibly. So animals that die of themselves without interference from humans are prohibited. Pork, meat. Specifically meat. Running blood. And the 4th thing is animals dedicated to other than God, because we have to mention the name of God if you do the slaughtering yourself, because you are taking permission from the creator of this animal to end the life of this animal. Now, if you dedicate it to St. Jude or St. Francis, you're saying that St. Francis is the creator of this chicken or sheep.
What about all store-bought meat that hasn't been dedicated to anyone?
That's fine.
That doesn't matter.
See? Okay, what's the words of the Quran? The words of the Quran are very clear in saying dedicated to other than God. So the question is the meat in Safeway or Lucky's dedicated to other than God? Yes or no?
Most of it's commercially processed, they get shot usually with a bullet.
Right. Right. In other words, it is not dedicated to other than God.
Only been dedicated to Mammon, the god of money. Yes.
It was not dedicated to anything.
The man made money.
involved.
Pardon?
The labor involved cannot be dedication.
You mean there's no labor?
No. If you shot, kill, cut, and piece, put the piece and you sell it, there's a labor involved. It's not a dedication.
There's a human being. No. Dedication means I killed this animal in the name
Yeah, exactly.
or
But
for
if
St.
you
Francis.
say- If you say
If you mention any name other than God,
Right.
then it is dedicated to other than God. Therefore it is haram. These are the 4 prohibitions.
You said, I don't even know safely.
That's haram. Yes.
I don't think they say anything when they kill her.
No, they don't.
But,
Yes.
I mean, since the person don't even know that, since you don't even buy, when you buy meat, you wouldn't even know if it was dedicated to God, not even know it's still good. So it seems it's,
But it didn't say.
it doesn't say at the time of the killing either, it just says the dedication to the meat itself. It doesn't. it says-
Dedicated to an idol.
I think the problem was more serious at the time of the Quran was revealed, because there were a lot of people who did dedicate
Oh, they do it
animals to
now.
idols. But
They do it now in my hometown.
But in this
They
country,
dedicate
where
it to the saint.
in this country where food is just a commercial process, it's
Yeah.
not such a serious
No.
thing to think about.
No,
But I'm
it's
saying
perfectly
is,
all right. Yeah.
The idea of dedication has to be the time of killing.
Yeah, religious, some kind of religious ritual or pronouncing some sacred words or something like that over the slaughter.
Can you what? Yes. Well, this is why it is. No, you suppose when you start eating, you're supposed to say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. When you start anything, you're supposed to start in the name of God. When you start eating, make it a habit. When you start your car, you start your meal, say Bismillah. How can you get a ticket if you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim when you start the car?
Dr. Khalifa,
Yeah.
I would like to tell 2 points. There are countries that they collect the blood and cook it. They cook the blood and make a meal out.
Don't have blood sausage or something?
And so as long as those bloods are cooked, according to Islam, there is no restriction.
Yes, there is. You cannot eat it. No.
It's not a running blood, you collect the blood.
That's it. It's running blood. You take it and cook it. You can take the pig and cook it. It's not.
It just says blood. It just says
They
blood.
become cooked pig.
No, but you know, when you, the same when you cook the meat, blood runs down the bottom of the pan, alright?
Yeah.
Sometimes you stick all that stuff in with the gravy.
But that was trapped blood.
It's running, they ran out of meat. It's running.
Don't eat it.
It's the same as in blood sausage. It's just blood that came out.
No, he said they collect the blood.
Yeah, but
If you collect the blood in a pot or a cup or something, that's running blood. But if it is trapped in meat, there's nothing you can do about it. It's okay.
But there are Islamic countries that eat blood.
What? Yeah. They also don't pray.
They pray.
And they follow hadith.
I don't know whether they are following hadith or not. I don't know. And what kind of
A lot of them are atheists, you know.
The country that right below Libya.
Chad.
Nigeria, Nigeria, Chad, all those countries. And Ethiopia, Somalia.
Yeah, it doesn't make it right.
There's a
Doesn't
lot of
make it right.
animism in that area. A lot of animal worship.
no, but it's still, don't we just mean like blood like that, or something like that? You know, that's when I say running blood, it's like blood sausage, it's not running blood.
This is initially.
You don't say running big meat,
Well, it was running initially.
yeah.
No, if that blood existed, if that blood existed at any stage in a pot or a cup, you can pour it. Then you cannot do anything with it. You cannot consume it.
What is blood sausage?
I don't know. Sausage? If you hit blood, it will coagulate. But
But is all the ingredients with blood?
okay, let's not split hairs on this. Righteousness defined. Okay, Jahan. Righteousness defined. 177.
Righteousness is not the turning of the faces towards the east or the west, but righteousness is keeping God, the last day, the angels, and the scriptures, and the prophets. To donate the money despite one's love thereof, the relatives, the orphans, the needy, the alien, the beggars, free the slaves, and to observe the salat zakat. The promises that are made and to remain steadfast in the face of adversity, hardship, and war. These are the two complete
Right. Okay, Iman, when I take the next one?
However, if the guilty is charged by the victim's sin, then vicious response is in order, and equitable compensation shall be offered. This is leniency in the Lord and mercy. Whoever transgresseth henceforth will suffer painful retribution. The equivalent shall be a life-saving law, and to this peace possess intelligence, which immunity and salvation. My understanding of this basically is that if someone is murdered,